be scared to sit this close to me like you are.
I ain't afraid of nobody.
This is the VIP
I've been
section.
married 37 years. I have no.
Did you just do that?
Nope.
Unfortunately,
But
you
when
don't
I hear
sound
it,
my
it reminds me.
paycheck, so. That's why mine are always at 5:30, 6 o'clock.
That's where it went. Couldn't find it. Boy, we got an extra one for you.
You're important. You got two of them.
I always
Yeah,
forget
she is important. Okay.
Last time I put her on something, she said, that's not my department. I said, I just gotta remember to
Okay,
have you.
it's after 2. Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started. This is the a special meeting of the Technical Review Committee for September 29th, 2021. And we have some agenda, copies of the agenda in the back there. There's one item on the agenda today. I'll just announce that this purpose of this meeting is to have all the departments that review development review items in the city to meet with applicants to provide a coordinated review of their project. The TRC's job is to determine whether an application is complete and ready for further processing, and the public is welcome to observe but does not participate in TRC meetings. The applicant can use the podium for questions and that. I believe we still have hand sanitizer out in the lobby, so if you have any questions or can't find that, let us know. And I'll go ahead and have the TRC staff introduce yourselves. My name is Pat McNeese. I'm the principal planner, and we'll start with Anthony.
I'm Officer Anthony Boone, Tarpon Springs Police.
Good afternoon, Nick Macris, Project Supervisor, Project Administration.
Tom Funchen, Public Works Director.
Ray Kinney, Fire Marshal.
Renee Vincent, Planning Director.
Cisco Pavas, Utilities Maintenance.
Ray Page, Utility Superintendent.
Heather Frendell, Water Distribution.
Megan Araya, Floodplain Coordinator.
Kevin Powell, Building Development Director.
Shannon Brewer, Municipal Arborist.
Okay, and the item on the agenda today is the Anclote Harbor final plan development. We've had one TRC meeting on this item so far. We do have, in planning, we have several items. What we've done and will supply to the applicant and to the public is to list all of the previous comments, both on TRC meeting comment sheets and also in the staff report that went to the first public hearing on the preliminary plan development. And we've listed all those and the status of each of those. So that results in 39 items that are going to be in this minutes we'll supply to you. I'm only going to go over the ones that we feel are not resolved at this point. So starting with the 8 recommended conditions in the staff report for the first public hearing, we had item 2 regarding the request for the applicant to consider expanding the recreation open space future land use to the entire 13.89 acres of upland habitat being preserved. That is something that we have not had a response. I think the applicant is considering that item. Number 4, post-development eagle management plan that was in those recommended conditions. We have not had a response to that. Same with the wetland enhancement plan analysis that was requested in the conditions. We haven't had a response to that one. And we also had requested the detailed transportation management plan, and that analysis has also not been received at this point. And number 8 was an analysis of the future operation and potential adaptation of the stormwater and sewer infrastructure to consider sea level rise, specific sea level rise considerations that we put in the comment, and that has not been received. Those were 8 recommended conditions proposed ordinance 2021-15. Going through the advisory comments that were in that staff report, not resolved includes number 3, request for the hurricane response plan. The applicant did provide some information in the response letters. We would like to see a full hurricane response plan with exhibits to cover pre- and post-storm periods, including details of how staff and resources will be available to assist on-site residents in being virtually self-sufficient for at least 1 week without power. This can be a condition of the final plan development. So we're looking for that. We're looking for also more detail on the energy efficiency measures. We understand that the exact details of design won't be available, but we would like additional details on the energy efficiency measures. So those 2, and then let's see, comments from the August 18th TRC meeting were all resolved, so there was nothing outstanding there. There are some couple of outstanding items from the August 5th TRC meeting. Comments 35 and 36 note details on the plan that refer to Pinellas County and Hillsborough County. It was stated that those were revised, but the latest plan set did not revise those. So those sheets still need to be revised. And then project enhancements, comment 5, regarding the coordination with DEP and the Aquatic Preserve to coordinate on educational signage. The applicant indicated agreement, and that will be a condition of the final plan development resolution. And then we have 4 additional, I guess, new comments for this TRC. So first, we still don't have the additional detail with regard to mitigation of wetland impacts, and understood that the applicant is working with the applicable agencies and will be resolving and getting to a point where they will be pulling permits from those agencies. But we would like confirmation at this point that the mitigation for the wetland impacts does comply with policy 1.1.1 of the coastal management element of the city's comprehensive plan. And that policy states that the proposed mitigation shall be in the following order of priority. First is mitigation on the same site of the development. Number 2 would be mitigation within the planning area boundary. And number 3 would be mitigation within the applicable watershed as identified by the Southwest Florida Water Management District. So just a narrative confirmation of how the project meets those, or that requirement.
Ms. McNeese, would you like us to, can we talk about these as we go along where we have a question, or do you want to wait to the end, or whatever y'all's preference?
We can do it as we go along, I would say.
So the question, I believe I understand the question. For the record, I'm Cindy Terrapini. I'm the representative, one of the representatives for the Morgan Group, who is the applicant. And just so you know, we do have, of course, the Morgan Group representative here today, Camille Salome, the client's attorney, Ed Armstrong, Nathan Lee and Artie Cintron from Kimley Horn, their engineers, and also Wes Rogers, their landscape architect, and Dylan Reeves, who is with Biotech. So the question, to answer your question, we are going to be mitigating on site. And in the PDP narrative, that is specifically discussed that we are going to mitigate on site. So I guess I'm kind of wondering do you want it in some other document? I mean, are you looking for something besides our narrative to confirm this, or what are you looking for to meet this obligation?
At some point, I guess we will get confirmation from the Southwest Florida Water Management District that the mitigation on site is acceptable. So this could be a condition of the development, but at some point, I don't believe, I guess I would ask you if you do have that conceptual or actual approval from the water management on whether the on-site mitigation will
I don't
satisfy their permit.
Yeah, I don't think we have it yet.
Okay.
If you're saying that this will be that we would have to provide that confirmation prior to building permit issuance, that's certainly acceptable. That's about when we would get it. So if that's what you're saying, that this will be a requirement to show prior to building permit, show the Swift Mode approval, we're fine with that condition.
I think what we're
Right, and, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
And
I think what we're homing in on is we have a priority of preference in the policy. So
Right.
You're telling us, verbally and in writing that it's going to be on site, and so that's the condition that we would put in. If for some reason SwiftMud comes back and says for whatever reason that's not whatever, it doesn't meet it as on site, and now you've got to go off site, we need to have a resolution of that. So that could potentially be a change to a condition. So and how that may affect. That's what I'm concerned about here.
So now I guess I'm getting a little concerned by what you're saying. So I'm concerned that you're concerned. Are you saying that the condition in the final development plan is going to require that the mitigation be only on site? And so if that on site is not allowed, that would be a change.
I think we need, if you're not 100% confident that that is going to be approved by SwiftMud, then we need to know that so that we can make the proper condition and make sure that the board's aware, so that after the fact, we're not saying, oh, we're going to pay into a mitigation bank up and wherever. So that's what we're trying to avoid.
Okay, so we just need to respond to you guys about whether it will absolutely be, if our first preference is on-site, which that is, and the second option would be X, we need to go ahead and state it that way to you.
Exactly.
Okay,
So.
all right.
Okay, and then the next comment is that in the preliminary plan development narrative, it was stated that the public art compliance plan would be confirmed at the time of final plan development submittal. I did look, I couldn't locate whether that was on the site plan or in a narrative. So, I mean, that could probably be a condition, but that's probably something that people will want to know, whether you plan to pay into the fund or is it there somewhere and I missed it?
I believe it's in the PDP narrative. I'll go look that in a second, but the applicant has said that he intends to do an on-site art project.
Okay, yeah, it says it'll be.
That has not changed, that obligation has not changed.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that it's in the PDP narrative. We can add it to the FDP narrative if you want.
Yeah, the PDP narrative is what I looked at, so maybe just double check that.
And we
Okay, and then-
understand, of course, that even though it's an on-site public art project, that there's a public art committee that we'll work with to, review and approve the project. So we understand that.
Okay, and then the applicant has stated the recreational vehicle parking prohibited on site, that'll be a condition. So that you've already stated that will be prohibited. And I did receive approval of the drainage plan from Burgess and Naples, so I will send you that memo that approves the drainage plan. And finally, we did have a verbal notification earlier today from Pinellas County Emergency Management that they would be providing a review and analysis of the development. So once we receive that, we will review it and consider it in our review and recommendations on both the preliminary plan development and the final plan development.
Is there any indication of when we might get that?
It probably won't be for at least a couple of weeks. So that's what they're telling us, so.
Okay, well, if they get in on October 27th, that'll be fine.
They did say that if you want to contact them directly, that is fine.
Can you send me their
Voorhees.
email or something so I know who to contact?
Joe Voorhees, yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, and that's all the planning comments.
Can I go back to a couple, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
So on the PDP conditions, with regard to the plan amendment, that's still under development. We understand the other studies, 4, 5, 7, and 8 to be submitted, that we're planning to submit those with the FDP. On the advisory comments, number 3, we'll be resubmitting that with the FDP. With regard to the energy efficiency, I just want to be clear about that as to what we intend to submit. Number 5. So with regard to the energy efficiency, what we intend to submit on the FDP, and I guess I'm just responding to make sure this is going to be acceptable to the city, is that on the FDP plans themselves, we'll show the generalized location of the charging stations, with the note that the exact location may change, but the goal is to have one station near each parking field for each building, so that each building would generally have a station. And then we were going to add a note to the FDP that the project will comply with the bronze level of the NGBS, so that'd be on the plans. And then the full details of the design, all the construction detail about the EV stations, the NGBS, and the solar panels on the clubhouse would be provided with building permit submittal. Okay, so I think we're on the right track there, good. Yeah, and the other ones we understood, and we're on track, we understand what you're asking us to do, so, thank you.
All right.
If I may, I have a question, a planning question. I'm Ed Armstrong. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Hillward Henderson, located at 600 Cleveland Street, Suite 800. And it has to do with the timing of the city's adoption of its new private property rights element and how that dovetails with the fact that we'll be submitting a map amendment to open space recreation. Can you all give me some feedback on that, please?
Yes, so we intend to have the property rights, the draft element, go to the Planning and Zoning Board this month, in October, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then to the Board of Commissioners in November, I believe is how we've advertised it. So my understanding of the law right now is that they are referring back, that so for like expedited amendments and things like that, they're kind of referring us back to our own attorneys. They're not coming in and saying, we won't take a land use map amendment if you haven't adopted the property rights element, if it's in the expedited review, small scale type stuff. So that's my understanding right now. So your worst case is we'll have it adopted and we'll submit it up with the land use map amendment, at least through first reading.
Okay. And I guess the only thing that you touched on there, would we be considered small scale with this acreage?
Yeah.
Because it's,
Well, for one thing, the small scale went up to 50.
Well, we're at 64.
Right, but the
but
change
you're only,
only
but the subject of,
affects...
yeah, but you're only amending,
True, you're right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The overall parcel is
Yeah.
64, but the amended
Yeah.
area will be smaller, okay.
exactly.
Yeah, this is just, the preservation is already there, so you're just adjusting a boundary on that one.
Okay,
It's-
well, it sounds like you're on it then in terms of
I looked at it because I was
Interconnection.
concerned about, absolutely.
between
So,
the two.
yes.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Okay. Anthony,
I have nothing, thank you.
okay. Nick,
I have no additional comments other than the initial comments that were presented in TRC meetings in August 18th and September 2nd, which have been acknowledged and addressed. Thank you.
thanks. Tom,
Nothing at this time, then.
okay.
Excuse me, I have nothing also. They have addressed all my comments up to this point.
Okay, and I did note that you had looked at the fire hydrant, gave me some comments on that, and it looked like they did add the extra ones, because I looked at that too.
Right, as far as up to this point, until the final plans, the actual plans are submitted, they've acknowledged and complied with what I've asked.
Okay. All right, utilities.
Pat, we worked with Kimley Horn on this project, and all the utilities seem to meet all of our criteria. Not seem to meet, they do meet all of our criteria, so we're good.
Okay,
No additional comments at this time.
all right, thanks. And building.
No additional comments at this time.
Shannon. Does that include you?
I did notice that on page L62, where it says tree canopy pruning, letter 9, or number 9, letter G, it says 8 feet above finished grade. Over sidewalks, it's supposed to be 10 feet per city ordinance, and over roadways is 14. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we are looking for a revised submittal of the final PD by October 12th to stay on track, which would be a week from next Tuesday.
Well,
To try to
magically, we were thinking of October 13th, which is basically
Okay.
2 weeks from today.
All right.
If that's acceptable to
We
you
can-
guys, that
yeah.
would work for us. Okay, so October 13th.
13th will work.
Do anticipate scheduling one more TRC meeting to go over it
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but it's-
Yeah.
That expectation is there, so before I get asked, I'm just going to commit to it, so.
So when would that?
We'll have,
Be-
it would be at least a week later, so sometime later that next week. We haven't nailed down the date and time. We've got to work with all of the entities to nail that down. As soon as we nail it down, we'll get it out to you and post it for the public, so.
And then, so we're going to resubmit on October 13th, no later than October 13th. And there'll be another TRC that could be the following week.
That's our intent, yeah, but late in the following week.
Right,
So,
TRC members need at least a week to look at it, so that's why we need that.
I'm just thinking of the efforts that all of us will be doing for an October 26th public hearing on the other items.
Yeah.
Is there any?
we're just gonna have to deal with it, I guess.
If you can get it in sooner, we can schedule it sooner. I know,
Yeah, if you get it
I know
sooner,
you're
we'll
looking at
schedule it.
13th,
Yeah,
but
we can try to schedule it sooner, but
Yeah.
well, we still gotta pick a date, just get it done and scheduled, so.
we do. But
Okay.
if you let us know that
All right.
you
No, I
could get
just
it.
said that, we'll have to get we need to get the date scheduled, so if you get it in early, great, but, you know, like I said, we need to give the TRC at least a week, so it would probably be, you know, 8 or 9 days after that deadline, so, which would
Okay.
probably be a Thursday or Friday, you know, of that following week. Is
Okay.
what we would be looking at for the date for the TRC. But say, as soon as we nail that down and confirm it, because it might, I don't know what time of day it'll be, so,
Okay,
okay.
all right, we'll wait to hear from you on that then. Thank you.
Okay, unless you have any other questions? All right, great. So unless anybody else has anything, we'll adjourn the TRC meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks. Thanks.
You asked too many questions.
Forgot my power cord. Died right.